They say arrogance always comes at a price, and some girls learned it the hard way. They arrived with airs of superiority, humiliating others, thinking they could do whatever they wanted without consequences. But karma, disguised as tough lessons, gave them an answer they never expected. In this video, you will witness the 10 most brutal fights where karma acted with full force. You will see how these arrogant girls, from cruel taunts to disrespectful behavior, thought their attitude would go unpunished until life showed them otherwise. But first, subscribe.
Boxer, kickboxer. Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Is in trouble. She's hurt. Hey, Holly looking to finish. Oh my God.
1. Ronda Rousey vs. Holm. Ronda Rousey entered her fight against Holm at UFC 193 with an aura of invincibility that had accompanied her throughout her career. As the undefeated UFC champion, Rousey not only dominated her opponents in the octagon but also built a public image of being almost unstoppable. Ridiculing her opponents and displaying an arrogant and condescending attitude. During pre-fight interviews, Rousey mocked her upcoming opponent, Holm, implying that the former world boxing champion was not a real challenge and that her judo skills would carry her to victory without much effort. Rousey was so confident in her superiority that she showed near disdain for Holm's ability to adapt to MMA in the pre-fight build-up. During press interviews, she seemed more concerned with media attention and fame than the fight itself. This arrogance culminated in their face-off, where Rousey was absolutely certain that Holm could not stop her, despite analysts and the press beginning to argue that Holm was a more well-rounded fighter. On the other hand, Holm, who had initially been underestimated due to her lack of MMA experience, remained calm and focused. Holm knew that her professional boxing career had equipped her with the tools needed to win, and she prepared silently, without flaunting her skills or falling for Rousey's provocations. Despite being the challenger without Rousey's level of fame, Holm showed respect and confidence in her own preparation. When the fight began, Ronda Rousey's arrogance was evident in her fighting style. She attempted to impose her aggressive rhythm and take the fight quickly to the ground, as she had done with all her previous opponents.
Other than the Miesha Tate fight.
However, Holm, with exceptional patience and footwork, avoided the takedown attempts and began to mark the distance with precise strikes. The champion tried to use her aggression, but her overconfidence and lack of respect for Holm's technical abilities put her at a disadvantage. In the second round, Ronda Rousey made the fatal mistake of underestimating her opponent. In an exchange of strikes, Holm delivered a perfectly timed head kick, which Ronda failed to dodge. The impact was devastating, and the champion collapsed to the ground, completely knocked out. The arena fell silent for a moment as the referee stopped the fight, and the crowd erupted in shock.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion.
2. Miesha Tate vs. Holm. The showdown between Miesha Tate and Holm at UFC 196 was a clear example of how arrogance can be a boomerang, returning with force when you least expect it. Before the fight, Miesha Tate presented herself as the more experienced rival, with a complete fighting style and great determination. Holm, still celebrated for her historic victory over Ronda Rousey, entered the fight as the bantamweight champion, confident that her technical striking would be enough to defeat Miesha Tate, an experienced grappler. Holm, known for her ability to control fights with distance and precision, expected to retain the belt in her first title defense. The fight was a true clash of styles. Holm used her superior striking to control most of the fight, keeping Miesha at bay with her jab and foot movement.
Right cheek, the left cheek of Miesha. Nice side. Oh, high kick. Just barely.
However, Tate found her opportunity in the 5th round. With flawless execution, she took Holm to the ground, where she used her grappling expertise to secure a perfect rear naked choke. Holly struggled to escape, but ultimately lost consciousness, forcing the referee to stop the fight. With this victory, Miesha Tate was crowned bantamweight champion, completing one of the most exciting finishes in MMA history.
In a championship, there it is. Looking over towards the cage. Looking to choke her out. Wow. She's got it. She's tapping. She's tapping. It's all over. Miesha Tate hits the new UFC.
3. Amanda Nunes vs. Ronda Rousey. The fight between Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey at UFC 207 was not only a high-level bout, but also a battle of egos where karma made a resounding appearance. After a long period of dominance in the UFC, Ronda Rousey returned to the octagon following her shocking loss to Holm. In the months leading up to her return, Rousey continued to feed her aura of invincibility. However, her arrogant attitude, especially during pre-fight interviews, did not go unnoticed. On several occasions, Ronda underestimated her opponents, even harshly criticizing Amanda Nunes, calling her an easy opponent. Rousey, with her characteristic overflowing confidence, repeatedly claimed that no one could beat her and that she had nothing to learn from the newer fighters. She also ridiculed Nunes' style, considering it inferior and not a true threat to her legacy. Amanda Nunes, on the other hand, remained calm and focused. While the media highlighted Rousey's arrogance with questions about her return, Nunes avoided provocations. With a serene attitude, Nunes concentrated on her preparation, knowing that, as often happens in MMA history, karma can be a much stronger enemy than any opponent in the octagon. She knew Ronda's words would be answered with actions. When the fight began, the difference in focus and preparation between the two fighters was evident. Ronda, as always, sought the clinch to take Amanda to the ground, trusting in her judo and aggression. However, Nunes, with much stronger striking, maintained her distance and controlled the fight's rhythm from the start. In the first round, Nunes showcased her power with quick, accurate strikes, making it clear that Ronda's arrogance would not be enough to stop her. In the second round, Nunes' strategy materialized relentlessly. She capitalized on every mistake Ronda made, who looked completely confused and off her game. After an exchange of strikes, Nunes landed a series of devastating blows that dropped Rousey. The former champion tried to defend herself, but Nunes didn't relent. With a couple of final punches, the fight ended in a brutal knockout that left Ronda Rousey completely unconscious. The referee stopped the fight quickly, and the crowd erupted in surprise.
Amanda Nunes!
Station!
That's it! Just like that!
Wow!
4. Joanna Jędrzejczyk vs. Rose Namajunas. The fight between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Rose Namajunas at UFC 217 was marked by an intense rivalry, and karma played a crucial role in the downfall of a champion who didn't measure her words and actions. Joanna, known for her strong personality and unwavering confidence, had defended her title dominantly for several years. The Polish fighter presented herself to the media as an invincible champion, arrogant, and completely sure of her superiority in the octagon. In pre-fight interviews, she ridiculed her opponent, Rose Namajunas, calling her weak and claiming she lacked what it took to challenge her. During face-off sessions, Joanna showed utter disdain for the young American fighter, dismissing her career and minimizing her potential. In one interview, Joanna openly stated that no one could beat her and that she was the best in every aspect. Rose, on the other hand, remained calm. Though more reserved and tranquil, Joanna's attitude only strengthened Namajunas' determination, who knew that respect for her opponent was essential. While Joanna inflated her ego and focused on belittling her rival, Rose quietly prepared, confident that karma in MMA can be ruthless and trusting in her own abilities. When fight night arrived, the clash was explosive. From the start, Joanna tried to impose her aggressive, dominant style, but she quickly realized that Rose was more than ready to face her. Joanna, who had relied too much on her striking and mental toughness, began to fail in her attempts to control the fight. Rose, on the other hand, not only avoided her opponent's strikes, but began attacking with precision, using spectacular footwork and accurate punches.
Kickboxing situation.
Yeah. Oh!
Knockdown for Namajunas.
Tagging her.
In the first round, Joanna seemed frustrated. Rose had taken the initiative, and the champion couldn't land her strikes as effectively as before. However, it was in the second round when karma struck hard. Rose Namajunas, with imposing calm, took advantage of an opening in Joanna's defense and landed an impressive shot that left the champion stumbling. The Polish fighter fell to the canvas, and the referee stopped the fight immediately as the crowd erupted in surprise and awe. Karma was relentless. The fighter who had ridiculed her opponent, thinking her reign was invulnerable, fell dramatically. As Joanna lay on the ground, unable to respond, Rose celebrated her victory with humility and gratitude, proving that respect and preparation are far more powerful than inflated ego.
Well, Rose. Oh!
Another knockdown. Rose Namajunas trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feinting.
That is
It's
it.
over.
Rose Namajunas.
5. Carla Esparza vs. Rose Namajunas. The matchup between Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas at UFC 274 was marked by a significant rivalry, but also by a noticeable dose of arrogance from both fighters in the pre-fight interviews. Rose Namajunas, the then strawweight division champion, displayed remarkable confidence in her ability to defend her title, especially after defeating Zhang Weili in a spectacular previous victory. In the weeks leading up to the fight, Namajunas appeared calm but confident, and in interviews, she did not hesitate to make comments suggesting that Esparza was not at her level, pointing out that her fighting style was too predictable and did not represent a real threat. On the other hand, Carla Esparza, although a former champion who had built a solid career in the UFC, was not as highly regarded or as prominent as Namajunas at that moment. However, Esparza was no stranger to high-level competition and, far from being intimidated, highlighted her confidence in her wrestling and ground skills during the pre-fight interviews. Esparza emphasized that, although the expectations were in Rose's favor, she had the necessary experience to overturn any situation in the octagon. Despite being underestimated by some voices and others focusing on Namajunas' previous achievements, Esparza maintained a calm and focused demeanor. On fight day, the expectations were entirely in favor of Rose Namajunas, who was the champion and had the chance to reaffirm her dominance. However, karma began to manifest when the fight did not unfold as many expected. Esparza, with her wrestling-based style of control and takedowns, managed to neutralize Rose's attacks and keep the fight at her pace. The champion, with her attitude of superiority, could not avoid falling into Esparza's strategic plan, who began to take the fight to the ground on several occasions.
Yep, there's some more difficult propositions.
Although the fight progressed more technically and cautiously than expected, karma struck when Namajunas, confident in her striking and stand-up advantage, failed to adapt to Esparza's movements. Esparza controlled the action from the clinch and, by avoiding Rose's aggressive rhythm, ended up outclassing her. The matchup was a tactical battle, where Esparza won by unanimous decision, leaving Rose, the once confident champion, disheartened and carrying the weight of defeat.
I guess. Down. Oh, there it is. Look, there it is. Yeah. See, but every time she tries, Carla does that. Look. Oh, she gets a takedown now.
6. Zhang Weili vs. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The fight between Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 248 became one of the most epic in the history of women's MMA, not only because of the brutality of the action but also due to the rivalry laced with arrogance surrounding them. Joanna, the former UFC strawweight champion, had an impressive record and a bold personality that often verged on arrogance. In the weeks leading up to the fight, she did not hold back on making disparaging comments about Zhang, suggesting that the Chinese champion lacked what was necessary to face an opponent of her caliber. With her confidence at its peak, Joanna viewed herself as the more technical and prepared fighter to reclaim the belt and was sure that Zhang would not be able to overcome her experience and skills in the octagon. Zhang Weili, for her part, approached the fight with remarkable humility and determination, but also with great confidence in her ability to retain the title. Although she had reached the top of the division with impressive victories, including wins over high-level opponents like Jessica Andrade, many still underestimated Zhang for not having faced some of the major names in women's MMA in the same way as fighters like Joanna. However, Zhang did not let her opponent's words affect her, maintaining a focused attitude and ready to prove that she was more than capable of defending her championship. During the pre-fight interviews, Joanna's arrogance became even more evident, especially when she made comments about Zhang's lack of experience and suggested that she herself would dictate the fight's pace. Joanna was so confident in her striking that she minimized Zhang's power and failed to anticipate the real challenge that lay ahead. When the fight began at UFC 248, the octagon became a true war zone. Both fighters exchanged violent strikes, but what stood out from the early moments was Zhang Weili's surprising toughness and durability. Joanna, used to dictating the pace and dominating with her technical striking, quickly realized that Weili was far more resilient than she had anticipated. Zhang not only endured the exchanges but responded with aggression and precision that destabilized the former champion. In the second half of the fight, it became a battle of attrition. Zhang continued to showcase her incredible power and durability, while Joanna, despite her efforts, began to show signs of fatigue and a disadvantage in striking.
Deter her, or it didn't hurt her.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
However, the most shocking aspect was the physical damage they inflicted on each other, with both of their faces severely battered. Although the fight was incredibly close, karma struck Joanna when, by the end, the difference between the two was clear. Zhang Weili won the fight by unanimous decision, retaining her champion's belt.
They're laying it all out on the line.
7. Holly Holm vs. Amanda Nunes. Holly Holm entered UFC 239 with a great reputation, largely thanks to her historic victory over Ronda Rousey in 2015, which had catapulted her to the top of women's MMA. With her technical style and impressive striking ability, Holm was seen as one of the most complete fighters in the bantamweight division. However, in the months leading up to the fight against Amanda Nunes, Holm's confidence seemed to reach dangerously high levels. During interviews, Holm displayed a relaxed and confident attitude, saying that Nunes was just another opponent she could easily overcome. Holm downplayed Nunes' skills, mocking her fighting style and suggesting that her own experience would give her the ultimate edge in the octagon. Amanda Nunes, on the other hand, known as the Lioness, had been an unstoppable force in the division. She had defeated big names like Miesha Tate and Cris Cyborg, demonstrating fierce aggression and knockout power in each fight. While Nunes was not as verbally arrogant as Holm, her victories spoke for themselves, and her confidence was at an all-time high. Amanda knew she had the tools to be champion and had no doubt that she would defeat Holm. The fight began with Holm attempting to impose her classic boxing and movement style. She kept her distance and focused on exchanging strikes with Nunes, trying to avoid dangerous exchanges and maintain control of the fight. However, it didn't take long for Nunes to prove why she was a dominant champion. With her impressive knockout power, Amanda closed the distance on Holm, and her heavy strikes quickly became apparent. In the second round, Holm's arrogance became clearer than ever. She believed she could dominate Nunes with her technical ability but underestimated her opponent's power. In a split second, the speed and power of the strike shocked everyone, leaving the former champion reeling and vulnerable. In that moment, karma struck for Holm, who had underestimated the threat Amanda Nunes posed. The fight was stopped shortly after the strike, and Nunes was crowned the bantamweight champion. Holm's defeat was humiliating, not just because of the fight's decisiveness, but also because her arrogance and underestimation of Nunes had backfired. In that moment, it became evident that confidence is valuable, but arrogance can be dangerous, especially when facing a fighter as powerful as Amanda Nunes.
Body kick. Kick for Nunes. Oh,
8. Miesha Tate vs. Kat Zingano. The fight between Miesha Tate and Kat Zingano at UFC 184 was marked by intense rivalry, and both fighters carried strong confidence in themselves. Miesha Tate, known for her aggressiveness and ability to perform under pressure, always displayed assurance in her ability to overcome any opponent. However, her confidence sometimes bordered on arrogance, especially when it came to Zingano, whom many considered a less technical but equally dangerous fighter. During pre-fight interviews, Miesha spoke dismissively about Zingano, suggesting that she lacked what it took to defeat her, especially after Kat's loss to Ronda Rousey, where she was quickly submitted. On the other hand, Kat Zingano, known for her fierce, never-give-up mentality, did not let Tate's comments affect her. Although she was not as vocally arrogant, Zingano had learned to use any underestimation to prove that she was an elite fighter. Moreover, Zingano had extra motivation. Winning the fight would secure her place in a future title bout. With that mindset, she entered UFC 184 with unstoppable determination. The fight began with both fighters showcasing their skills. Miesha tried to control the pace with her grappling style, looking for opportunities to take Zingano to the ground and apply her technique. However, Kat Zingano demonstrated incredible resilience and physical strength, avoiding being submitted by Tate. Zingano, with her explosiveness, showcased superior knockout power and began to take control of the fight. As the fight progressed, Tate's arrogance started to backfire. In the second round, as Tate attempted to gain control with a takedown, Zingano seized the opportunity. In a shockingly quick transition, Zingano used Tate's momentum against her, launching a brutal knee strike to Tate's face. The impact was devastating, and within seconds, Miesha fell to the ground, knocked out by the blow. The referee quickly stopped the fight, and Zingano celebrated the victory with a scream of relief and joy.
now pursue a Tate, an elbow, and that'll do it! Kat Zingano that put her back on.
9. Cris Cyborg vs. Amanda Nunes. Cris Cyborg, one of the most dominant fighters in the history of mixed martial arts, entered her fight against Amanda Nunes at UFC 232 with an aura of invincibility. After years of ruling the featherweight division, Cyborg was widely considered the best female fighter on the planet, and her record of victories seemed to confirm this perception. With her imposing physique and aggressive style, Cyborg was confident in her preparation and even dismissive of Nunes, who was viewed by many as an underdog in this fight. In the pre-fight interviews, Cyborg implied that Nunes wasn't ready to compete at the highest level, believing her power and experience would overcome any attempt by Nunes to challenge her. On the other hand, Amanda Nunes, who already had a successful career, was not intimidated by Cyborg's reputation. In the pre-fight interviews, Nunes remained calm yet determined. While she avoided provocations, she made it clear that she believed she had the tools to defeat Cyborg. She had studied her opponent's weaknesses and knew she could capitalize on her speed, technique, and striking power. While Chris Cyborg flaunted her invincibility, Nunes maintained a focused and respectful mindset but was firm in her belief that this would be her moment. When the fight began, Cyborg attempted to impose her aggression, looking to attack quickly with her powerful striking and control the pace of the fight. However, Nunes, faster and more technical, skillfully evaded Cyborg's early attacks. Nunes was calculating every move, waiting for the right moment to counterattack. It was in the first round, after a few quick exchanges, that Amanda Nunes landed a devastating strike, a perfect right hand that left Cyborg stunned. Karma arrived in the form of an unstoppable punch. Nunes seized the opportunity and followed up with a few more strikes. In a matter of seconds, Cyborg, who had been considered invincible for so long, fell to the ground, knocked out. The referee immediately stopped the fight, and Nunes celebrated her victory with a mix of astonishment and euphoria. The crowd erupted in applause as the new featherweight champion, Amanda Nunes, proved that Cyborg's arrogance had not been enough to stop her rise.
Oh, Nunes! It's real.
10. Ronda Rousey vs. Liz Carmouche, UFC 157. Ronda Rousey, the first female champion in UFC history, entered her fight against Liz Carmouche at UFC 157 brimming with confidence. After tearing through all of her rivals in the bantamweight division, Ronda was presented as an unbeatable superstar. With her aggressive style and ability to submit opponents in seconds, Ronda felt untouchable. During the week leading up to the fight, Rousey showed a somewhat arrogant attitude, downplaying Carmouche and assuming this would be another easy victory. Although Carmouche was a talented competitor, Ronda didn't seem to view her as a real threat, and this attitude reflected in her statements. On the other hand, Liz Carmouche, a veteran with wrestling experience, knew this was her moment to make history. Despite the pressure of facing the most dominant champion in mixed martial arts, Carmouche appeared calm, determined, and fearless. In interviews, she made it clear that she was ready for any challenge and wasn't going to give up without a fight. Although many believed Rousey would win quickly, Carmouche was ready to surprise the world. When the fight began, Ronda Rousey tried to impose her aggressive pace, quickly seeking to take Carmouche to the ground and apply her feared armbar. However, Liz Carmouche shocked everyone by executing a spectacular takedown and putting Ronda in a compromising position. Carmouche managed to take Ronda's back and locked in a chokehold, forcing Ronda to desperately defend herself. It was the first time in her professional career that Ronda found herself in a truly dangerous situation. Carmouche was on the verge of making history by submitting the undefeated champion, but Ronda, with her incredible mental toughness, managed to escape and free herself from the hold. Shortly after, Ronda regrouped, regaining control of the fight. Eventually, she took Carmouche to the ground, where she applied her signature armbar to submit Liz and win the fight by submission in the first round. While Ronda emerged victorious, the karma of this encounter was palpable. For the first time in her career, Rousey had been put in a vulnerable position and had to fight with all her strength to avoid a loss many deemed unthinkable.
Carmouche has it up. See if she can advance on Rousey. She's looking for it. She got it once again. First round.
In summary, these fights are a clear reminder that in the world of mixed martial arts, karma always finds its way. Arrogance and overconfidence can be defeated when least expected, and surprises are part of the game. If you enjoyed this analysis of the lessons these fights taught us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more exclusive content and updates on your favorite fighters. See you in the next video.